Hello. Oh, it's Philip Carr-Gomm speaking to you. Hi, welcome to another Tea with the Druid session, Tea with the Druid 99. I've discovered today that I should be looking down my nose at you. Look, I'll show you. See, if I look down my nose, you don't get any reflections from the thing. So I should spend the whole broadcast talking to you, looking down my nose at you. But I'm not going to. It's an awful thing to do. So hi, Alan. Hi, Daniel. Hi, Ellie. Great to see you. And hello, Dean, from the edge of the New Forest, the liminal world on the edge of the forest. And hi from Poland, Jan Mazur. Hello, great, fantastic. Michigan, Oregon, Cornwall, America, hooray. Wonderful to see you. That's great. So welcome and pile in, and let's begin this Tea with the Druid session. So I've decided to call this session Ritual, a turn off or a turn on, because I know that some people like ritual, some people don't. And the reason I'm talking about it is I recently got an email from somebody here, and listen to what she said. She had seen one of these Tea with the Druid sessions, and she said, personally, I'm not really into all the ceremony and costume part of Druidry, but the philosophy is amazing, and the subjects you talk about are so interesting. And so this got me thinking, because over the years, I guess, as I've got older, I've found myself moving towards being less interested in ritual and more interested in simplicity, a kind of yearning for minimalism, for simplicity, just for sitting quietly out in nature, attempting to still the mind and to open to spirit, if you like. And sometimes I can find ritual distracting, because suddenly I'm having to think about other stuff. What am I going to wear? What are other people wearing? What's going on? What movements do we have to make now? What have we got to bring from over there, and so on. And so I would be really interesting. One of the things that these videos have the possibility of doing is providing us with a sense of how other people feel. And I've kind of hesitated talking about this because in Druidry we do a lot of ritual, and so it seems a bit heretical to say that that you're not so interested in ritual anymore. And it's not as simple as that. It's not entirely true. We'll get to that in a minute. It's kind of half the story. And I think one of the reasons why I haven't confessed to this before, and I'm confessing now, is that I didn't want to, well, one of the reasons why I didn't talk about it before is because I didn't want to create some kind of sense of there being a sort of high church, low church Druidry, or you know, the situation we have in Christianity with Catholicism and then Protestantism. And even within the Anglican Church, if you're not in the UK and you don't know this is probably not well known, is that within the Anglican Church, there are two branches, high church and low church. The high church one is called the Smells and Bells Brigade, and they like incense and bells and so on. And when you go to theological college in the UK, so my vicar friends tell me, is you have some theological colleges that are high church, some are low church, or you start off with kind of streams and you experience a bit of both, and then you make your decision as to which direction you take. So what I'd really be interested in finding out from you is, first of all, do you find your relationship to ritual changing over the years? Do tell me, that would be interesting to know. Or are you as keen on ritual now as you always have been? Do you like ritual, or if you were going to be honest, you find it slightly problematic in some way, if only because it's a distraction? So do do tell me that. And while you're thinking about that, I'll carry on. You see, for me, it's not as simple as moving away from ritual. I actually love ritual. And when it's done well, and when I'm in the mood, it's fantastic. So you could almost say I'm a bit of a sort of ritual snob, in as much as, you know, I don't like amateur dramatics. I like really professional rituals. So I know when I've been in a Hindu temple, and there's been all the backdrop and all the kind of detail in it, or some church services and some Druid ceremonies too. But because Druidry is participatory, egalitarian, it's fresh, it's evolving and changing. You know, 100 people will turn up at a sacred site, and there will be some ritual leaders, and there'll be some form of ritual. But often there's a kind of spontaneous element that can sometimes shift into what you might call amdram. But nevertheless, it can be very beautiful and very moving. And so it isn't a simple picture. I don't want to convey a kind of simple opinion, because I think it's layered. I see there's some great comments coming through here. Tear down the bricks and mortar, plant gardens, or make homeless shelters out of them. Let this be your ritual, says Boral Lisa. Yes. Ridru Siddha Druid says this, it has to have depth and meaning, not just following protocol. Exactly. I think it's when a ritual gesture or act or ceremony is really profound and is being enacted with sort of full engagement and not just for show, then that makes a huge difference. A few years back, there was a number of people were feeling this way, and there was a sort of movement which people call contemplative Druidry. And James Nicole edited a book where people talked about this, and the focus was on Druidry in contemplative practice as opposed to ritual practice. Liz Harris says, I've found over the years that my own rituals have become very simplistic with focused intent, but the depth of feeling has increased, as has the meaning. And Mark Roberts says, ritual becomes less and less distracting when it's done more often, and it becomes remembered and routine. That's very true. There are a couple of elements in Druid rituals which we do in all of them, and so it's very routine to anyone who's been to Druid ritual. One is holding hands together and chanting the Arwen, and that's always a very powerful moment. There's when we say together, we swear by peace and love to stand, heart to heart and hand in hand. And one of the Druid rituals that I find the most powerful is the Samhain ritual, which is actually quite ritualistic, where we make an offering of honey, bread, salt and wine to the ancestors, and then we partake of the feast with the ancestors, having invited them into our circle. So Amber Ford is saying, I like ritual, but its complexity or simplicity depends on the mood I'm in and whether I'm by myself or with someone else. Over the years, I've found that my rituals are becoming simpler, as is my altar setup. But I've also been to some fantastic rituals that are incredibly complex, and they have been very spiritually fulfilling for me. And I've been to some very simple rituals that have been spiritually fulfilling as well. Let it be. Hooray. Yes. Wonderful. So I just wanted to share that with you, and I thought, let's see how this. I think perhaps we can say as well that when you present something, any subject, to somebody who's new, there's this question of what do you place in the foreground and what do you place in the background? What do you what are the the bullet points, as it were, the main points. And I think what can happen with people who are new to paganism or new to a kind of magical approach to spirituality is if their first encounter is people wearing robes and engaging in ceremony that may or may not be very proficient, that can be quite off-putting to people. So I think we try to do this in the order, as although we have plenty of rituals. I mean, in the first year of training, you learn, I can't remember what it is now, at least 13 different rituals, I think. No, more than that. But you learn a whole bunch of rituals. But I think what we try to do is present the ideas first, and then really allow individuals to take on board as much ritual as they feel they need. So Julia Foyle saying, I'm still pretty new to Druidry and still feel self-conscious when doing ritual, but I can really immerse myself into the scene when I'm reading the ritual through in the Guerci, which is the booklets that we send out, especially if listening to some Celtic music at the time. It's like I'm transported to another world. But when I actually perform ritual, I'm whispering and mumbling to myself in my bedroom, hoping no one will hear. Okay, I can understand that, Julia, yes. I think what ritual does offer the possibility for us is for us to be operating in a different way to the normal way of doing things. The language is different, and we're making movements and gestures and performing acts, lighting candles, moving objects around the circle. And this can take us into an altered space. So in fact, in some of the order rituals that we do on our own, the suggestion is that you try to undertake it almost like a tea ceremony, a tea ceremony which is, rather than just slapping the tea bag in a jug and pouring on the hot water and drinking it, you do everything really precisely as a sort of focus for kind of mindful concentration and a way of altering your level of awareness. And that can be a really excellent way, I think, to approach ritual, which at first may seem uncomfortable, but you can gradually get familiar with, is acting in a way that renders you more mindful. So let's have a meditation now. And in the meditation, I'm just going to suggest in our visualization that we perform one little ritual act, which is, I couldn't actually find, somewhere in this room, there is my Druid bell. It's I don't know if you've come across these things. They're beautiful little spheres. Sometimes they're called fairy bells, and sometimes they're called Druid bells, but they're little spheres of metal, and inside are little tinkly bits. And they make a kind of sound like that, but more subtle, really. But I can't find it, but this will do. This is my fairy bell. And let's go into a beautiful setting in nature. In Druidry, we often use a clearing in the woods that we call a sacred grove, but you can use any setting in nature that you like. We'll sit quietly, and then I'll just ring the bell, and we can summon something lovely, perhaps an animal, perhaps a fairy, perhaps just a quality of being into ourselves, a little ritual act, and then we'll come out again. So it'll just be a short meditation of just a few minutes. So if you'd like to do this, just maybe close your eyes to better concentrate on yourself. Become aware of yourself seated in front of the computer, or tablet, or phone. And at the same time, allow yourself just to take in a slow, deep breath, holding at the top, and then slowly breathing out through your mouth, just letting go and relaxing. And as you do it a second time, just breathing in slowly and deeply, holding, and then as you breathe out, just imagine that you're in a beautiful place in the country, perhaps in a sacred grove, in a clearing in the forest. You can already smell the trees and the flowers here. And you can sense the earth beneath you. And you can sense the slow rhythm of the earth, the vitality of the earth too, with all the creatures that are in the earth, and the stones and the minerals and the soil and the moisture. And as you sense this wonderful element of the earth that you're seated on, you can allow some of the stresses and strains of the day just to drift quietly into the earth. And as you breathe in, you can breathe in the energy of the earth and sense it flowing up into your body and your being. You become aware of the trees around you now and of the way they are rooted in the earth. And you can feel the presence of the trees, of how they are blessing you with their energy. How as you breathe in, you're breathing in the essential oils that are exuded by the leaves of the trees. Breathing in the smell of the trees, sensing their peace and their power. And then you become aware of the sky above you. And as you breathe in, you feel the energy and the vitality of the sky flowing into your body. And as it flows into your being, it meets the energy of the earth. The energy of the sky meets the energy of the earth within the center of your being, so that you feel calm and balanced here amongst the beauty of nature. And you open your inner, your psychic eyes in this imaginal realm. And you may see things clearly in this world of the imagination or the other world, or you may just sense things. Doesn't matter. Just however clearly or not you sense things, you just sense yourself being in this beautiful spot. And you notice that there's a little bell or sphere, a Druid bell, that you've been told you can tinkle or ring ritualistically to summon something beautiful into your grove, into your clearing, to bring you blessings. And so if you feel moved to do this, you very consciously and deliberately stretch out your hand and you hold the bell in your hand and you sense, even before you start to ring it, you can almost hear the tinkle coming from it. And then you ring the bell. And you just feel the blessings coming to you. Blessings of energy, blessings too of the perfume of this place, the perfume of the flowers, honeysuckle perhaps growing on the trees. And you feel how the bell has also enlivened your aura, your energy field. You feel enlivened. And then you give thanks to your visitor, whether that was a butterfly, a dragonfly, a little bird, a fairy, an elemental. You thank them for their blessings, for their gift. You know you can come to this place at any time and summon these blessings again with your bell. And you ring it again now to give thanks in gratitude and to say goodbye. You become aware of the trees around you, the earth beneath you, and the sky above you. Feeling centered and calm, fully present. You take in a deep breath slowly through your nostrils. Hold it for a moment, and then breathe out gently through your lips. You do this one more time. Slowly and deeply through your nostrils. Hold for a moment. Gently out through your lips. And as you breathe out, your awareness of being in the sacred grove or in the beautiful spot in the countryside begins to fade as you become aware of being seated in front of your computer or your tablet. Fully present, here and now. And when you feel ready, you stretch your fingers and toes and open your eyes. So, I hope you enjoyed that brief meditation. I'm finding the comments absolutely fascinating. Ben is asking, do you do vibrational chanting? Yes, I mean you can call that ritualistic, can't you? And you can embed it in ritual, and it's a ritual in itself. Yes, I so look forward to reading all these comments. That's great. Drink your tea slowly and reverently, as if it is the axis on which the world revolves. That's another principle in ritual, actually, is that the whole world, one of the ideas of creating a circle and doing a ritual within it is that the circle becomes the microcosm that contains the macrocosm. That the whole world becomes this in the circle. And that's a beautiful and empowering thought. So I'm going to make a cup of tea, and I'm going to read your quotations, your comments, and do make more. It's a really fertile topic, isn't it? That's really lovely. So have a really lovely evening, and have a good week. It really feels like the winter's begun. I was talking last week about how Samhain, these quarter days, Celtic fire festivals, however you want to call them, represent the moments of transition between the seasons. And of course, sometimes that transition isn't necessarily apparent, depending on where you're living, what the weather's doing at the time, and so on. Certainly here in the south of England, Samhain marked, by sort of Guy Fawkes night, by November the 5th, winter had definitely arrived, and there's a real nip in the air now. And it's that movement has gone from autumn to winter. But the winter colours are still here. I was in the woods over the weekend, and they're just a gorgeous golden colour here in Sussex. So have a lovely week, and I look forward to seeing you next week. And in the meanwhile, I'll read your comments. Okay, lots of love to you. Many blessings, and bye.